I'm honestly having a weekly crash out. I need help from you as well. This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree.
Imagine borrowing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to better your life, and only to find out after several years of making the payments that you still owe more money than when you originally started. Yeah, welcome back into the channel, Rockstars. Thanks for joining me. This is a topic I wouldn't normally cover here, but I think it's super relevant and it's one that everyone should know about and probably a lot of you have experience with, and it is student loan debt. One of the reasons that I became a reseller, an online entrepreneur, a business owner way back in the day, 20 years ago, even before all this student loan debt became a huge thing, was because I didn't want to pay for college. I know that sounds crazy. I was not in the best college financial situation when I was 20 years old, 19 years old. When I graduated high school, I was accepted. I had the opportunity to go. I was actually pretty smart in school. I had a lot of AP advanced placement classes and I did well and could have went pretty much anywhere that I wanted to with the exception of a few places. But I looked at how much money it was back then, and this is 2003 when I graduated high school, and those prices 22 years ago now, wow, just to say that's crazy. 22 years ago were insane, so I can't imagine now. And it saddens me to see that so many people took out loans that were $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 trying to better themselves, and now they owe more money than when they even originally started paying those loans, and they're paying sometimes $1,000, $1,500 a month and not making a dent because those interest rates are 15, 17, 20%, and some people would call it predatory loans. I would say it's a very bad situation for a lot of people. I'm always under the belief that if you take out a loan and you sign your name to the paper, be it a car, be it a house, be it whatever it is, that you are responsible for paying back your debt. You signed, you knew what you were signing, you saw the interest. If you didn't read it, that's your own fault. But with that said, in this situation, people took out loans thinking they were going to get a degree, get a job, making $100,000, and would be able to pay off those debts within a couple of years and do better for their life and their family. Unfortunately, the job market changed, the economy changed, the loan situation, the interest situation, it all changed, and things are not going the way that they should have been going. And I want to take a look at a couple clips today. I want you guys to see these stories and to let me know your thoughts on this. If I had a child right now in this situation, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, wanting to go to college, I would never deny them the right to say they want to be an accountant or a doctor or physician or lawyer or something else of that nature. And unfortunately, I, as a parent or having to be a parent in that situation, would tell my child, I don't recommend this. I don't want you to go there unless you get a scholarship, unless it is paid for. I would prefer them to pursue a career in business and entrepreneurship, in social media, in something that makes money without any money out of pocket, without putting you into life-altering debt. Let's check these clips out, and you guys can let me know in the comment section what you think.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. What the fuck? So, Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool fucking time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000, and I didn't even spend that much on school. Any rich person, please tap in. Kourtney Kardashian, you probably have 8 houses. I'm never gonna be able to buy one because I went to college. I just signed up to be an egg donor. Guess what? I got approved. Who wants my fucking kids? I can't afford them, so start them anymore. Just fucking take them. What do you want, my left arm too? What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be in debt for my whole fucking life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for this shit when I was 17. This should not be legal, bro. I got upset about it at work, and my coworker was like, don't you have a rich relative who could pay that for you? No, my family's poor. No. And the worst fucking part is, bro, look where I am. I can't go in because I need some money, but I just
Yikes. So 90 grand she owes, and it says, or she says, that she never even borrowed that much. So let's say that she borrowed, what, 75 is probably what we're thinking is reasonable at 17% interest. She's been making $1,500 payments a month. That's $18,000 a year. For 2 years is $36,000 on her 80 or 75 grand. She should be half paid off. The problem with that is with the interest, when you're borrowing 17%, against $75,000, think about a house loan. If you took a house loan out and you were borrowing just at 7%, right? Like 10%, half that value. You can imagine what the payments would be versus wouldn't be. Out of her $1,500, I don't know that that's even covering the interest. And that's what she's saying. It wasn't even enough to cover the interest. It was a minimum payment. And the interest has just been racking up on it. It goes up slightly each month. And over the course of 2 years, every month she gets further and further behind. She should have been making $2,000 payments in order to chip away at that principal. It would have been $12,000 off of the principal by now. Her interest wouldn't have gone up, and her 75 would be like 63, and probably less interest. She'd only owe about 50, 60. It would take her a while to pay off. But you can see how a predatory loan like that, letting a 17-year-old borrow $75,000 and at 17% is nuts, right? Like, who pays 17% for anything? Credit cards at 17% are insane. And if you have a 17% credit card and you borrow $25,000 on a credit card, the payment is probably like $1,000. I don't know, $750 to $1,000, and then add all the interest in. Yeah, her $1,500 is just not doing it. So, long story short, she's in a deep, deep hole, and a lot of people are in similar situations. Let's check out the next one.
I now have $300,000 in loans.
A big change is happening in the student loan world with little notice and could impact how much you owe on your loan. If you are enrolled like nearly 8 million people in the SAVE Act as a way to pay off your loans, you could soon see your balances go up.
I don't know what to do because everything that I told was going to be there, all of these safety nets have disappeared from underneath me.
On August 1st, the Department of Education will restart applying interest to the loans that you owe. SAVE borrowers, they had been in this position since last summer, something called no interest forbearance. That meant that monthly payments were paused and balances were frozen. But all of that is about to change. Now your monthly payments, they will still be paused, but interest will now be applied, meaning that big overall number that you owe may start to go up.
The financial walls just feel like they're crushing down around me.
Student loan experts say now is a time to figure all of this out. Call the Department of Education, call your loan provider, try to switch to another plan that may work better for you.
Yeah, so what they're talking about is that during COVID, of course, a lot of loans were frozen, the interest was frozen, the payments were frozen, there was a lot of forbearance, and that you could get a chance to get back on your feet, to get a job. A lot of people were laid off and couldn't make those payments, right, because of COVID. That was all the way until 2022, I think even into 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Those payments didn't restart for most people until 2024, last year. And then some of those were even until this year where the interest started coming up again. Those are all gone now, where they are accruing. They're accruing interest if you're not making payments. Even if you're making payments, they're back to interest accruing. And these people, I don't know what they've been doing for the last few years, but maybe they didn't get a job in the right market where they thought they were going to make six figures. Maybe they don't have a job at all. Maybe they've been laid off. Maybe there's just, who knows? But none of it going very well for them, especially this young lady owing $300,000. Good grief. Hey everybody, make sure you take a minute after this video to visit our wholesale site full of great inventory, wholesale goods, liquidations, and bulk purchases for your e-commerce stores if you are an online seller. The link is below in the description box. It is through my Shopify store. Great inventory from categories like clothing, toys, electronics, jewelry, and others. Make sure you check that out after the video. I will link it down below in the description and the pinned comment. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so I have one more story from this young lady, this other young lady, and this one is very sad. She does it in good humor and good attitude, but it basically wraps it all up in one big ball. So let's check her out and we'll go from there.
Hey, so this is probably the most vulnerable post I will have ever made in the history of time. And for those of you who this little blue halo is already triggering you, I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna hopefully make you feel better, and I'm honestly having a weekly crash out. I need help from you as well. This This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree. And before you go ahead and take out the phrase that is so commonly used, oh, but you knew how much you were taking out in the beginning. No, a lot of this has to do with interest alone accruing, while I am in a hell of a limbo of what we like to call administrative forbearance, trying to get into the SAVE plan. So I worked with a student loan counselor after I graduated, and I was told to consolidate all of my Direct Plus grad student loans to be one loan so that I could apply to the SAVE repayment plan. Right as soon as I started and submitted my application was when all of the chaos happened in the courts, where they just can't get their head out of their ass and figure out what they're doing. And so I never actually got into the SAVE plan. And so I have been accruing interest at a 7% rate. I've not had to pay my monthly payment. My monthly payment has been $0 because of a previous tax return when I was making $0 income as a student. But still, this amount is a literal noose around my neck. And I don't think I will ever pay this off. I fear that I will not be able to ever own a home as someone still earning six figures salary, let alone children. I would love and aspire to have a child someday, but this really, I don't want to say like makes me, but like it truly makes it really hard to get out of bed every morning. And,
obviously, I just had to beep the S word that she just said. She said it doesn't make her, but it has to beep it out because YouTube will never allow that.
I know I'm not alone. I know I don't even have it that bad, but I'm truly asking as a cry for help, like how you compartmentalize the stress of something like this, knowing that you'll never, ever get out of debt, because it would take an act of God to take this amount away. And people repay the principal loan multiple times over in situations like me, but they never get rid of their debt because of the system at hand. And that is what is so fucked about student loans for people in advanced degrees like doctor, nurse, anesthetist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant. What else can I think of? Any degree program that takes multiple loans and at least six figures to take out to go to these programs. And I did this to get a better life for myself, get a salary that actually amounted to something for my future family. And yet this is what happened. And a lot of it wasn't even the fault of my own, because I had no way of predicting that this would happen. I had no way of knowing that SAVE would not be around in the future. PSLF is my only option. I do work at a 501c3, but even then, the payment is like pushing almost $1,000 a month, and that will soon become even unaffordable for me. So yeah, I'm literally at a loss.
Okay, couple things noted on there. So first, in that first clip that we watched, that young lady has almost 1 million subscribers, not her, but the very first clip, and her followers on TikTok. She needs to turn that social media following into something that can generate a couple thousand, just a few grand a month, and she could pay $2,000 a month for a year towards the principal on that loan is 24 grand, and she says she owes 90. So that's what, two years is 48, so 4 years is 96. She'd be paid off in less than 4 years, 3.5 years, no big deal, right? A 3-year loan. This, the other lady that's in $300,000 in debt, I don't even know. This girl in $200,000 debt says that if she gets into whatever her program is, it's $1,000 a month, and she says she's making six figures. So we'll just say she makes $9,000 a month. That is 108 grand, right? Less taxes and all that. She's probably bringing home $7,000. That's a fair number, maybe $7,500. $1,000 a month should be no problem. She could have a nice house for $3,000 a month. She could have a nice car. She could have health insurance, which I'm sure because of what she does is cheap. Cell phone, Netflix, electric, water, groceries, and all that for a couple thousand a month. And all of a sudden she's spending about $6,000 on her living expenses. She still has $1,000 to put towards that student loan debt. which, you know, is only 12 grand a year, and she owes $201,000. My math is a little shaky on that, but I'm thinking that's about 17 years. Could I be wrong on that? Let's go back to that. 201, is that what I said? $201,000 divided by 12,000 a year is 16 and 3/4 of a year. 17 years to pay that off. That's a long time. So if she just put in $1,500 and lived a little bit more frugally, which she still could afford on her salary, and assuming maybe she gets a husband or a boyfriend down the line or somebody she lives with who can afford some of the bills, she could even put more towards that. We'll just say her $201,000 debt at $1,500 a month is the equivalent of 134 months, which is only 11.1 years. So in theory, this young lady could pay this off in about 10 years. Now, I know she looks to be in her mid-20s, 24, 26, because of what she's done, 8 years of college, her physician assistants, but you know, even if she's 26 years old, she's paid it off by the time she's 36. They're out of debt, and you know, if she gets a significant other, she could probably cut that in half and pay it off by the time she's 30, 32 years old. So while it is a lot of money, a lot of debt, it's $200,000. It's a house nearly. You got to do what you got to do. You signed up for it, and that is affording her to make that $100,000 a year salary. So she spent $200 to make $100,000 a year, and after, you know, a certain amount of time, it becomes a profitable venture. I don't usually comment on this type of stuff. Again, I'm one that says if you borrow money, pay it back, whether it takes you a year, 2 years, or 10 years, or 30 years, or a lifetime, you pay it back. As long as you pay it back, no one can be mad at you, right? No one can say anything as long as you pay back what you owe, whether it's interest or not. But in these situations, I just don't know how or understand how the U.S. government allows these places to charge 7% or 17%, which seems nuts. I think the three solutions to this is there should be a cap to the interest rate. Maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 5%, 6%, keep it low. The second thing should be, if you keep doing this, you're going to run people out of wanting to be doctors and assistants, physician assistants and LPNs and nurses, because no one's going to want to get into this debt. The more people that are 18, 19, 20 years old that see this video and this social media viralness of this debt are going to say, no way, I'm never going into debt like that. I'm not going to be a nurse. I'm not going to be a physician's assistant. I'm not taking those loans. Only the people that get full scholarships are going to do it, right? That is paid for. You're going to see people seeing these debts who are just not going to pay it. They're going to take it out and go, hey, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to get my job. I'm going to make my 100 grand, and I'm never going to pay these debts. Knock yourself out trying to garnish my wages. I'll find ways around it. Bank accounts, credit cards, family members. There's people doing that already. So you don't want to encourage this behavior in this environment. You want to come up with a solution. These people are trying to do better for themselves. They're trying to do jobs that are important, doctors, nurses, lawyers, things that we need in our society, but yet you're punishing them by charging them obscene amounts of interest rates and obscene amounts of money to go to these schools. $200,000 to get a physician's assistant. It just seems outrageous that colleges are making all this money. And at the end of the day, if you ask me, it's a whole bunch of people getting rich off a whole bunch of people just trying to do better for themselves. Again, I don't lean left or right, but I just call it as I see it. And this just seems like a giant ripoff for people who just want to go to college and get an education and learn to do something productive, right? So let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button before you leave. Subscribe to the channel and check out my links below. There's a lot of great sponsors, products, links, and services down below, including some of these TikTok videos. You can go check and read more into it and watch some more content. As always, thank you guys so much for being a part of my channel, and I will see you next time.